Welcome to a brand new series on the Defiant. Hey, you know, the thing is, with DeFi, with blockchain, can you see it? No, you can't. And when something new comes along, you kind of have to try it out on a website. There's no such thing as an unboxing video in crypto, except that there is. And today, that is what effectively we're going to do. We're going to do an unboxing video of something that's just come in. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. I haven't tested it out yet. I do know about it, but what first looks is going to be is just try something out, have a look at it, something new that's come along, and see what we find. No objective opinion, just take a look, see what it is. And today, what we're looking at is an iNFT from a company called Alethea AI. And what is an iNFT? Well, I stands for intelligent. And effectively, this is an NFT with programmability built into it. And what kind of programmability? AI programmability. So a little bit about Alethea. Alethea is a company that I came across last year when I was getting into deepfakes, and I was trying to do a deepfake of Vitaly Buterin, and we started talking about synthetic media, which is this really weird new emerging space where you take, for instance, a still image of a personality, and then you can bring it to life using AI. And there are all sorts of weird and wonderful applications for this. And you might have seen Salvador Dali at the Dali Museum in Spain. They brought him back to life, and he talks about his art. And there's an actor doing his voice, but it's really compelling, bringing people back to life. But you know, equally, you can, like, deepfakes are the kind of most sort of refined version of this, but you could take a still image of anybody really, and the software is so sophisticated now that you can just bring it back to life. What I always came up against with deepfakes was there's a level of photorealism that's very difficult to accomplish. It's doable, but it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of work, and if you spend time in Deepfakes Lab and deep learning, you know that it's a very inexact science. It takes a lot of kind of fiddling around, but on a kind of basic level, there's apps that you can get on your phone called Reface or something like that allows you to deep fake your own face onto a, you know, someone like Keanu Reeves relatively easily and relatively quickly, which is kind of fun. There are, of course, huge ethical concerns around synthetic media. The use of AI-generated performance, I guess, and personality built into the way we interact with things. And the reason that I'm so fascinated by this is, there's two reasons really. Firstly, these are bleeding edge filmmaking tools when it comes down to it. It's a creative thing. You can build and generate creative characters that just wouldn't be possible any other way. And if you have heard of Lil Michaela, she's a virtual influencer from Trevor McFedries, who also runs Friends with Benefits. Really fascinating stuff there. So the second reason I'm fascinated by this is because I work for the Defiant. The Defiant is a news organization. We report on the news. And news has had a really bad time of late. Fake news, nobody really trusts anything anymore. And when you have deepfakes, which are really credible human beings speaking to you, telling you stuff, but it's not real, then something profound is broken in the way that we consume media and the way we trust media. And if there's an opportunity to reinstate that trust in some way, shape, or form, I would like to be part of that conversation and to help guide the way that these new technologies are deployed and rolled out so that we have at least some form of best practice for the use of all of them. So that's a kind of little sort of overview of Alethea. I mean, there on its site, it says trusted synthetic media. These guys are not just building the tools to allow you to create synthetic media, but they're also trying to help govern the way that it's rolled out. So, you know, for instance, you could have an AI service assistant who helps you through setting up a Wi-Fi router or things like this. My personal feeling is that the way we search for things now, typing into a Google search bar, will be obsolete within 2 to 5 years. And that the way that we interact with the web, the way we search for things, will be entirely voice-based. So we will tell something or someone what we want to find, and it will spit back results to us. once you see this in action, once you see the way that we can interact with the world through voice, it's hard to imagine how we will go back once that hits scale. And with Alethea and with synthetic media, that's how it's going to start. So that's why I'm fascinated by this technology, because I see it opening up a world of completely new interactions with our devices, like removing search and interaction from physical to vocal. It's profound stuff. So Alethea gave us an announcement yesterday, which was about iNFTs. And iNFTs are, as I said, these intelligent NFTs. Now, there's a couple of things that have made all of this possible. And it's essentially down to OpenAI. So Alethea has been working with OpenAI since it opened its GPT-3 engine in June 2020. And GPT-3 is a protocol for allowing AI voice generation. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that it can do, but it's wild. Effectively, what happens is you feed the AI data in the form of conversations, in the form of responses to questions, and over time it starts to learn how to give you that response back in a conversational way, so you can talk to it. And they can now put that AI functionality into an NFT. So we've all heard about NFTs and how cool they are. But I think if you saw my huge film on NFTs, you'll have understood that, personally, I think that the collectible aspect, the simple crypto art aspect, is a very simplistic and reductive way of using the technology. If we think of Ethereum, just the ETH token as programmable money, I think we can think of NFTs as programmable media. And so there's all sorts of different ways of putting that programmability into it, but with an AI-powered NFT, you start to open up opportunities to interact with an NFT. So, for instance, in their example, they say, what if a CryptoPunk could battle another CryptoPunk? They could rap, or a Hashmask could tell you the story behind its genesis. So many interesting things pop up. So all of this is what Alethea is heading towards, these really smart NFTs. And I think there's a gazillion different ways this could be used. Fundamentally, though, when we're talking about AI, there isn't just a thing that you plug in and switch on and it works. There are AI-trained routines that you can take off the shelf and plug in, and you can get generic voices and generic faces that you could plug in. And I've already spent a bit of time this year looking into AI-generated faces, and we've seen a few of those populating ICO websites where the team was completely fictitious. They were generated by synthetic media. They never existed. And so, yeah, this is wild stuff. So if we look on the website, we see Alethea, give your NFT superpowers, create a unique, intelligent GPT-3 powered and interactive version of your digital asset. And I think it's worth looking at what GPT-3 actually is. So here we are. GPT-3 is the generative pre-trained transformer. It's an autoregressive language model that uses deep learning to produce human-like text. It's the third generation language prediction model in the GPT-N series created by OpenAI. So effectively what it can do is based on the amount of data that you feed it, obviously, it can create believable conversation-like responses to questions you might ask it. And then, of course, you can feed that into a voice synthesizer program. And then, in theory, you should be able to converse with an AI. Andrew Steinwald actually has written a really good article explaining all of this and how we've gone from, he talks about the evolution of NFTs. So we've gone from static images to GIFs and videos to now intelligent characters. And embedding intelligence into an NFT is such a profound and amazing piece of programmability that, we're just starting to scratch the surface of what might be possible here. Now I know you are desperate to see this thing in action. Just a couple of additional points here. So Alethea is creating a new standard called the iNFT, which is an intelligent and interactive NFT. Sounds cool. But there are some centralization risks because it's built on OpenAI. OpenAI, not that open. It's very difficult to get access to. Alethea has been approved by Greg Brock, the CTO and co-founder of OpenAI, and they have approved iNFTs as a concept. So that means that Alethea is one of a select few crypto-native companies that is combining NFTs and GPT-3. I think we're going to hear a lot more about GPT-3 in the future. On a existential level, this stuff blows my mind. Like, us humans, our place in society, our role as intermediaries between people who need something and people who have it. Gosh, deep, deep stuff. They also sent me this video of something. There's a mysterious pod going live shortly. Weird sci-fi brain, future landscape, Terminator music, dystopian future. You know what? I hope it's not dystopian. I really do. I'm sort of hopeful that there is a version of the future in which we and AI coexist and there's some kind of synthesis. I don't know. But I'm also deeply, deeply worried about it. So looking at some of the other things that you can do here, these are some suggestions. They're talking about a CryptoPunk rap battle on Twitch 24/7. A CryptoPunk will soon be able to talk to you and rap against another CryptoPunk in a battle watched by millions. Interactive exclusive experiences. Your Hashmask may laugh at your jokes and inspire you with its origin story. Digital Farmer. Your Decentralized parcel will remind you to cultivate the land you've purchased. Or D, this is another example, V for Vendetta, we are all V. A community can organize a fractionally owned character, and only token holders have the exclusive ability to unlock the IP of the character for rapid permissioned meme and content generation. Engineering intelligence scarcity. So we just look at some of the characteristics of iNFTs. They've got embedded intelligence, which is a predefined or revolving prompt in GPTX embedded as part of its immutable architecture, creating generative possibilities in interactive conversation. That's a lot of words. That basically means you can talk to it and it'll talk back. Self-learning accrues knowledge and unlocks new form of intelligence available to the owner, creator, and eventually the network. I'm going to come back to that one because I think that's the most interesting one of all of them. Permissionless, universally usable and censorship resistant. Yep. Metaverse agnostic, open and available to the internet and integrative with multiple platforms. Not sure how that works exactly, but the ERC standards should be interoperable between different Ethereum-based metaverses, and if we go to a multi-chain future, which we will, then that should all become a lot easier as well. And it's token-based, so it's an Ethereum-based ERC721 or ERC1155 non-fungible token. Okay, so far so good. So one of the other things that they sent me was the Vader demo. So I think if I log in here, you should be able to, oh, yeah, we're in. Just want to make sure that it's set up right. So what should the iNFT call you? Well, we're going to say supermassive because, you know, it's my jam. And now, type your name, choose an option, press enter. The iNFT has not come across that name before. Is it okay if the iNFT calls you my young apprentice? Well, I guess so. Please enable sound and mic. So now we have Lord Vader, and I can speak to him. Hello, Lord Vader.
What do you think about the Emperor?
I think the Emperor is a sack of potatoes.
What do you think about the power of the dark side?
The dark side is the best thing in the universe.
The dark side is with you, my young apprentice. I will watch over you.
Lord Vader, how do you make toast?
The dark side is the best thing in the universe.
That wasn't quite the response I was looking for. Lord Vader, who is your enemy?
The Jet, I and the Rebel Alliance.
Lord Vader, who is your friend?
The dark side is the best thing in the universe.
Lord Vader, I don't like the dark side.
It is the only thing you have left.
But I don't want to be part of the dark side. What can I do?
You are too late. You will always be my young apprentice, and I will watch over you.
It's never too late. I want to turn to the good side.
You are too late.
Lord Vader, what is an NFT?
I have never heard of a NFT.
Okay, so, I mean, yeah, it's clunky. And this is so much of the very earliest iterations of these things. And basically what you do is you feed the GPT-3 a bunch of text, a bunch of data that represents what you want it to say. Now, where it gets interesting is this. Lord Vader is being fed with information, with knowledge, effectively, and he can respond to you in a way that can be very sophisticated, but he needs a lot of time to train on the data. Scale this up. This is what it looks like. Imagine, for instance, that instead of Lord Vader, it's me. You know me from talking about DeFi. Hopefully, there's a certain amount of at least knowledge and expertise residing in me that you feel is worthy of spending some time with. Maybe it isn't, maybe it is. But let's say, for instance, instead of it being me, it's an AI version of me. And the knowledge that resides within that AI is crowdsourced. So, for instance, you discover something about a rug pull that's occurred. You can feed that data into the AI, and then if somebody asks me that question, was X rug pull, so forced out, was there a rug pull? Then I would be able to tell you, yes, there was a rug pull. And if you then ask me, well, how much was taken? I would be able to take you because I'm being fed this data by the crowd. Now, obviously, the AI could be fed a bunch of junk data. So in order to mitigate that, you operate a staking mechanism. And this is where we get to the idea of knowledge staking. So the more confident you are in the truth of the data you're feeding the AI, the more you can stake towards that. And of course, when someone accesses that data, you then get paid. So you have this knowledge sharing economy. It's like Wikipedia, but the idea is that it's crowdsourced, and anyone with valid and truthful data can then stake that data or that information into the AI, so that when someone asks the AI a question, the AI will spit out the correct answer. And you hope that by adding this staking mechanism, you will kind of winnow out the junk data that we put into it. This is knowledge staking. And that's when it's these iNFTs start to get really profound. Because if an iNFT can represent not just a fun thing that you can interact with, but an entire economy built on the collective wisdom of people who are associated with, for instance, DeFi, that is amazing. So you can begin to start kind of pulling together these single sources of truth for people to simply interrogate the way that they would interrogate another human being. And there is something so difficult to access in crypto because it's Medium posts and it's this and it's all written words and white papers and everything else. But if you could talk to just me, for instance, in real time and get a response back, and let's just assume that that very slow, very clunky execution becomes as slick and as beautiful to interact with as any other technology that we've seen grow over the last 20 years, then you can start to see the truly mind-blowing applications of this technology. And that is why I'm so fascinated by it. And that is why I wanted to make this our first look. So I hope you enjoyed that little kind of clumsy stumble through Alethea. Join the Telegram group if you're interested. Arif Khan, who heads up the project, is a really open and interesting guy to talk to, so I highly encourage you to do that. I make no objective opinion about the quality of anything else you see. All I'm interested in is the philosophical implications of synthetic media and how I can play a role in shaping how they are rolled out in the future. And that was our first look.